I grew up believing my life would follow a quiet path, shaped by duty and routine, until the morning my father summoned me to his study. The heavy oak doors, always closed, were open, as if inviting me into a future I had never asked for. He spoke with a calm finality that left no room for protest. I was promised to a young woman raised under the guardianship of the Duke of Harrowfell. The news settled on my chest like winter fog, cold, inevitable, and strangely silent. As he described the arrangements, I kept wondering why the Duke, known for his distant nature, would choose me, and why now, when the estate had been whispering with rumors no one dared explain. Before we delve deeper into this story, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. When I finally arrived at Harrowfell Manor, the world seemed to dim into muted golds and greys, as though the walls themselves carried secrets they refused to release. Its corridors were lined with faded portraits, faces watching, judging, remembering. The household moved with a stiff elegance, each servant precise as if choreographed. There, standing near the grand staircase, I saw her. The young woman to whom my future had been tied. She didn't speak, but her eyes flickered with something between caution and resignation. And behind her, the Duke observed us with an expression so unreadable it felt like a locked door in human form. From the very beginning, something felt unspoken. The Duke's gestures were measured, almost rehearsed, yet there were moments, brief, fragile, when his gaze shifted as though he carried a burden no title could shield. The young woman, too, seemed bound by an invisible thread, glancing at him as if expecting a storm that never arrived. I found myself wondering what truth held those two together in such quiet tension, and more unsettling, why had I been woven into it? If you think this first encounter was strange, wait until you hear what unfolded next. In the days that followed, I began to notice that her glances carried a quiet tension, yet none of it was directed at me. It was as though she lived in a house built of careful steps and unfinished thoughts, always listening for something unsaid. Each morning, when the Duke entered the room, her spine straightened with a subtle apprehension, not of him as a threat, but of what might surface between them. I found myself questioning what history bound them so tightly in silence. Was she afraid of a memory rather than a man? And why did her eyes soften only when they met mine? Sometimes I wondered if the heart recognizes safety long before the mind admits it. My conversations with the Duke were a maze of half-truths, each word measured like a stone, placed deliberately to conceal rather than reveal. He spoke of duty, of alliances, of things men must accept to preserve order. But whenever I mentioned her, his tone shifted into something fragile. "Some stories," he once murmured, "are not meant to be told before their time." It was the only moment I felt a tremor beneath his polished exterior, as if he carried memories too heavy to revisit. Watching him, I began to understand. Silence can be a shield, and sometimes the strongest men are those hiding the deepest ache. But what wound shaped him so profoundly? Even as I tried to keep distance, I found myself drawn to her in ways I could not rationalize. Destiny, I realized, was less a path and more a quiet force, pulling two souls toward a truth neither was prepared to face. One evening, as the sky dimmed into indigo, I saw her walking alone toward the gardens, her figure outlined by the lantern's soft glow. Something in the moment felt suspended, an invitation, or perhaps a warning. I followed, sensing that whatever happened that night would unravel the threads holding this household together. If you think the veil was thin now, just wait until you see what the moonlight revealed next. That night, under the silver hush of the garden lanterns, I found her standing near the stone archway, her hands folded as if holding a question she feared to voice. Before I could speak, the Duke approached from behind, his steps slower than usual, his expression softened by a weight he no longer wished to carry. "I owe you both the truth," he said, his voice trembling with a humanity I had never witnessed. The moon illuminated the fragile lines on his face, revealing not authority, but grief. He confessed that she had been entrusted to him not as an obligation, but as the daughter of his dearest friend, someone he had failed to save long ago. His coldness, he said, was not towards her, but towards himself. In that moment, something in her shifted. Like a door opening after years of being sealed, she stepped closer to him, not in fear, but in a tenderness that surprised us both. His confession did not shatter her, it freed her. And as I watched, I realized that the heart's deepest transformations occur in silence, when truth finally replaces assumption. The Duke looked at me then, as if seeing me for the first time. "Take care of her," he whispered, "not because duty demands it, but because she deserves to be chosen." For the first time, I understood that this promise, our promise, was born not from arrangement, but from the possibility of healing. Walking back toward the manor with her at my side, I felt the night expand with meaning. Love, I realized, is rarely a thunderclap. It is a quiet recognition, a soft unfolding when two souls finally feel safe enough to breathe. And maybe that is the lesson hidden in every story of our time, that freedom is not given, but discovered, and that destiny is shaped by the courage to listen to what the heart avoided for too long. If this story touched you, stay with us. Like everything worth feeling, it grows deeper at the end. So remember to like, comment, share this video with someone who needs this story, and subscribe with the bell on.